Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Smash Pod, brought to you by SmashUp Fantasy Sports, the only next-gen fantasy game where you can choose your players who are just balling out, choose your Smash cards to give them some bonus points, and then you dominate your opponents. So I'm your host, Chef, as always, with my co-host, The Hawk, calling in live from Temecula. Looks like he's got a beautiful background behind him, which he's loving. But we're here to talk you through our weekly Smash Start Sit episodes. So I'm excited to work through these and see where we agree and where we disagree. But Hawk, before we do that, how are you doing? How's everything going?
Good. It's my last couple hours being pretty in pink, and then jumping on a plane to Las Vegas this afternoon. So
Nice.
go to Sin City.
Nice. That should be a lot of fun, man. Just stay away from that stadium out there for the Raiders. I don't know if they're playing at home this weekend or.
I think I should stay away from basically everything out there. The stadium, the gambling, the booze, you name it. There's just that's Sin City for a reason.
Nah, man, you got to indulge in all of that, actually.
Sin City,
I was saying, just stay away from the Raiders game. I don't know what kind of fans they have going on over there and what they're going to be up to, but indulge in everything else.
might be like The Hangover. I'll just wake up in the Raiders stadium watching the game.
Yeah, you'll have a Raiders jersey on. Your face will be painted. You'll be in the black hole, and then you'll wake up and not know what's going on. But hey, there's worse things. Maybe there's not worse things than being a Raiders fan, but I don't know. Speaking of which, quick little news story that we love to kick things off with. I don't know if you saw, there was like a huge blimp that was sent by a major soccer team for a promo. It turned into a nightmare situation. It came crashing down in a residential area in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it injured the pilot.
Oh my God, I heard that. And I guess reportedly Jaguars fans have commissioned this blimp to fly over the Texans Stadium this week in hopes they will not have to watch their team lose by 40. So this is becoming a trend.
Ouch. I feel like we're really going after the Jags lately.
I mean, I think they deserve it. They just, let the Bills hang like 47 points on them? This has not been a good season.
Yeah, and T-Law, Trevor Lawrence has not been playing well. I mean, maybe that's another topic for another pod, but he signed that huge contract and he is not living up to the bill.
Does he need to go like, is it Burrow or Minshew? Does he go like Burrow and shave his head and dye it blonde, or does he go like Minshew and like grow out a mustache? I feel like if T-Law was mustachioed, he'd probably be a better quarterback.
He needs to do something different. I mean, he needs to cut those locks of his. He needs to go back to school and learn how to throw an accurate ball. He's just missing receivers all over the place. But anyway, we digress. We're here to do Smash Start Sit. So this is where we look at a few group of players and kind of like the old game of Marry F Kill, Marry Friend Kill, Marry F Kill. We're going to smash, start, or sit a combination of three players. Smash is someone we absolutely love the play of. We love the player. We love the matchup. We would slam a smash card on them. So we'll talk through what smash cards we will run apply to them. Start, we still think it's a good play. Maybe not smash card worthy. We're confident, but we're not overconfident. And then, of course, sit. So of the three, we've got to determine who we're sitting, who's not going to play. Either we hate them, or maybe they're just not as good of a matchup as the other two. So you ready to kick things off?
Yeah, and I hate a lot of people. So it's just going to be sit for everyone.
Yeah, no, we can't triple sit. We'll have to choose. So, all right, let's jump in. The first grouping of players we have are three surprise quarterbacks so far. So, smash, start, sit. We have Sam Darnold versus Green Bay, David Carr versus, or is it Derek Carr?
Derek Carr.
I said his brother.
Hey, David Carr's retired, so you can start him, but I don't know if he's going to give you the points you want.
Yeah. He'll also get sacked a lot. But, okay, so Sam Darnold versus Green Bay, Derek Carr versus the Falcons, or the Red Rifle, the Red Rocket, the Red Rifle Rocket, Andy Dalton.
I think Carolina fans got a Red Rocket watching him play left.
I'm sure they did. But Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket versus the Bengals. So all three surprise quarterbacks have been playing really well this far. All right, Hawk, you kick us off. Who are your smash, start, and sit plays of the three?
So I'm going to give these. I also want to say a cool reason to do this is if you're playing SmashUp, these are all close in price. If you're kind of looking at quarterbacks, Darnold's 5.7K, Carr's 5.9, Dalton's 5.3. So if you're doing SmashUp, you're doing DFS, this is like a real decision you might have to make. And so for me, I'll just give you my three. Smash Darnold, start Carr, pass on Dalton. Let me know what you think. Then we get into some rationale.
Yeah, so I love all these three players. I have them across, well, not Andy Dalton, but I was thinking about playing Dalton in SmashUp actually, but I actually agree with you. With these collection of three players, I would smash Darnold. I would start Carr versus the Falcons. I think he could be in play for a bounce back game. And then Gosh, it's tough because Andy Dalton played so well. But I think of these three, I would pass on Dalton. But why don't you give your rationale?
Yeah, so with Darnold, the Packers D's been good, but I think of the at least the first two defenses, them and the Falcons, I think you can pass a little bit more on the Packers. You can definitely run against them, so Aaron Jones can soften them up a bit. And I just think they have so many weapons. Jet, obviously Nailor's played well. Aaron Jones is a good pass catching back. I just like Darnold's odds. He's been playing well. The team is rolling. So of the three, he's the one I like the most. I think I'm also going to put Cannon Arm on him, which is a card that I don't want to spend too much here, so I don't want to go with like an elite card, given he's not the greatest quarterback. But I think that with this card, I can like take advantage of his passing, multiply his passing yards and touchdowns, and I think he'll have a few. With Carr, I think the Falcons are actually a pretty tough pass defense. They rank about number 10 against quarterbacks and against the pass. Carr's been good, hit a little bit of a snag last week, and so I just kind of want to see it for another week. I think of the three, I'm just going to start him. And Dalton, it was a great first game, but it was the Raiders. I know the Bengals don't have a great pass defense either, but I want to see it again. I'm not ready to believe he's the new Flacco. I don't know that it was all Bryce Young in Carolina, that he was the entire problem. The line hasn't been great, and so it's a feel-good story. But, this kind of happened before. I was looking it up, and in 2021, when Justin Fields got hurt, the Bears turned to Dalton. First game he started with the Bears, 317 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
Very similar. Second game, 229 yards and 4 interceptions.
Oh,
anyway,
rug pull.
Which Andy Dalton we're getting before I put him into a major role.
Okay, so I like those. I think, again, I agreed with those smash start sit plays. Darnold is just rolling. He's playing too well. He's on an MVP pace right now. So I don't see how you could not, I don't see you could sit him, but how could you not even smash that? So I think from a smash card perspective, this one's for Mahomes is definitely in play. He is hitting at a career high completion rate. So this one's for Mahomes is essentially a completion percentage type of smash card. So you get points based on, and he's completing passes at almost 68% through the season this far. So I think that's a great play. With Carr, obviously that offense looked really good through 2 weeks. And in standard league plays, I finally decided to play him. And then he just bottomed out last week. So of course that happened, right? And I think that's my fear for Andy Dalton in the same kind of respect, right? So big game against the Raiders. Don't know if he's going to be repeating that. That offense looks way better, but I need to see more of it. So definitely wouldn't sit Dalton in this case.
Just a feel-good story, too. It's crazy. So I was looking back at Darnold, and with the Jets, like you never know at the time. Like everyone, they've got a lot of young players. You're kind of guessing, who's the problem here? Is it the quarterback? Is it someone else? Do you know who his number one receiver was with the Jets?
Gosh, I know. Who was?
It was Jay Crowder for like 2 years. Like
Crowder. He was a PPR machine actually, though, for a while.
He was a perfectly acceptable number 3 receiver on some okay teams, but
on a mediocre team.
But it would be like the number 1 receiver for Darnold. Like,
Don't you dare besmirch the name of Jay Crowder. How dare you? Jay Crowder. All right, let's move on to our next grouping of players. We're going to try to hit all positions. So the first was surprise QBs, smash, start, sit, Darnold, Carr, and Dalton. Hawk and I agreed. Next, we're going to running backs who had very strong week 3s and have some enticing week 4 matchups. So between Saquon Barkley versus Tampa Bay, Kyren Williams versus Chicago, and King Henry versus Buffalo, who are you smashing, starting, and sitting?
All right, so I think what's going to be a theme here. Let's smash Saquon. We'll get more into that later. I'm going to start Kyren Williams, and I'm going to pass, as much as it pains me, on King Henry.
Damn, we are 2 for 2. I agree with you. So smashing Saquon, starting Kyren, and passing on King Henry. I think this is a record, man. We've never agreed, at least right off the bat, gone 2 for 2.
Well, if history's taught me anything, if we both agree, we're probably totally wrong. So
like no one play these guys at all. No, but I think we have some good rationale. So why don't you kick us off, and then I'll just chime in.
Yeah. So Saquon, look, Tampa Bay's allowed the 3rd most fantasy points due to running backs, but also the most passing yards. And Saquon Barkley is a pass catching back, except in the 4th quarter of tight games, apparently. But in other situations,
Philly fans just took that stomach punch again, man.
But other than when the game is on the line, he's a fantastic pass catcher. So I like him. And smash card wise, I'm going to put Run CMC on him because, speaking of which, Run CMC is a card where if running back gets 80 rushing yards, 40 receiving yards, you get 30 bonus points. It's like a parlay. And I think he's got a good chance of doing both. I'm going to start Kyron. He is the entire offense right now, and the Bears got the ninth most fantasy points to running backs. Look, I know it's early in the season. I know these are still small sample size, so take that number with a grain of salt. But obviously, the offense has left the defense on the field a lot for the Bears. Could be the case here. And I think that there's a very low chance, though, he gets game scripted out. Hard with Kyron because he can also catch the ball. But I think they're using him running and catching the entire way. And I think for King Henry, look, I obviously love him. Buffalo has given up a lot of running points to running backs. However, this could also be a game where the game script turns against him. He's the only one of these three backs who's not really a pass catching threat. And well, it may not happen if Buffalo does take a lead or a decent lead. We could wind up in a situation where there's a lot more Justice Hill and a lot more pass catching, and he just gets game scripted out. So because of that risk, I'm going to pass.
Got it. Yeah. Just a few things to add since we do agree with Saquon. There's just no other weapons out there, right? So no A.J. Brown, no Devontae Smith, who's probably going to miss the game due to his concussion from last week. So they're just going to ride Saquon. I agree. Smash card on CMC.
Yeah, you be smirched Dallas Goddard, and
I actually think he's a good play too. Goddard's a good play too. So we'll talk about him in a bit. I just want to add that nugget since you gave a lot of the information. For Kyron Williams, the only other thing that I wanted to add is he leads the league in high value touches for running backs. So that's receptions and red zone opportunities. So no matter how inefficient he is, I think he's like 3.6 or 7 yards per carry on the season, which isn't great. That's not the efficiency you're typically looking for. The volume and the high level of volume and value of those touches is going to be key for him. And that's why he keeps scoring so many points.
Look at Joe Mixon or Corey Dillon right now. He's just like churning out 3.5 yards a carry, but at extreme volume.
Yeah, exactly. And look, these are all three really good running backs, right? I wouldn't be surprised if the order changes. So we're really kind of splitting hairs here. King Henry definitely would sit him out of these three based on these matchups. He is averaging 71 yards and 1.4 touchdowns in 5 career games. But, like I just don't know if he's going to have a fantastic game coming up this week against the Buffalo Bills. So it'll be a good one to watch nonetheless. All right. So we agree on that one again. Let's move over to the next selection of players to match. Let's move on to the next selection of players to smash, start, sit. This one's the holy trinity of 3 wide receivers that were all selected very, very high first rounders in draft season. So we have CeeDee Lamb versus the Giants. Should be a juicy matchup. Jamar Chase versus the Carolina Panthers, an equally juicy matchup. And also Justin Jefferson, a.k.a. Jettas, versus Green Bay. So 3 elite wide receivers. Smash, start, sit. Why don't I kick things off just to change things up a little bit?
You can't copy me like the last two, I think.
Exactly. I think we might differ in opinion on this one, though, so we'll see. All right, so I'm going to kick things off. I am smashing Jamar Chase versus the Panthers. So I'm going to start Justin Jefferson versus Green Bay. And then I'm going to sit CeeDee Lamb versus the Giants. But smashing Chase, starting Jettas, sitting CeeDee. Where are you at with this?
All right. Well, given it's the Holy Trinity and that theme, I'm going to smash the Father, which is CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to start the Son.
He's the Father?
Well, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? I'm going to start the Son, which is Justin Jefferson.
Your daddy?
All of our daddies, right? It's And I'm going to...
The Giants' daddy, I guess, right?
I'm going to start the Son, which is Justin Jefferson. I'm going to pass on the Holy Spirit, which is Jamar Chase. So
okay, so my smash is your sit. Okay, so let me break this down, and obviously you'll get a chance to as well. So I'm smashing Chase versus the Panthers. I feel like Chase had, I don't want to call it a breakout game but for this season, he had his arrival for the season, if you will. Obviously, he had the camp holdout based on the contract situation there, but I think you saw the big game from him. Obviously, they were playing a pretty inferior opponent, but they also were playing an inferior opponent this weekend as well. But he plays much better once T. Higgins returned to the lineup, and he'll have T. Higgins again. And defenses can't bracket Jamar Chase as easily when you've got T. Higgins on the other side. So Panthers are one of the worst 3 defensive teams in the league. And I think we've talked about it. Jamar Chase is streaky, right? He has these hot runs, and he started off the season on a bit of a poor streak, if you will. And I think last week was the beginning of a hot streak. And the Bengals, they always start really slow, and they've done so the first 3 weeks. But you could see their offense start to click last week. I think the game versus the Commanders is going to help them get back on track, and I think that will continue versus the Panthers. So I like smashing Chase. I'm going to start Justin Jefferson. He's just been super consistent. Even if his numbers haven't been like super popping off the box score, last week had 80 yards and a touchdown, which is good. But I know we've seen him have like 120, 135 yard games and a touchdown. I see that being more the case this week. He'll have a solid game. Obviously very playable, but they're playing a pretty good Green Bay team, and that's going to be a tight game. Green Bay's defense is also pretty solid. Another note too, he left last game with a bit of an injury. So I'm not saying he's injured. He's obviously going to play. I think they did remove him off the injury report, but you never know. That could be something that impacts him a little bit. I think it was his thigh or something like that. And then CeeDee Lamb, look, this is the Holy Trinity. Everyone on this list is good. They're playing the Giants, who have a poor pass defense. But this Cowboys offense has not really clicked thus far. CeeDee Lamb's been a little underwhelming. He, like Jamar Chase and Brandon Ayuk, had a contract dispute coming in, and the theme has been slow starts. As a result, Jamar Chase got off the schneid last week, so he's ready to go. CeeDee Lamb, we're still waiting for that. This could be the game that is it, but we just haven't seen it yet. And this game could get out of hand early, and they maybe won't need to pass a ton. So maybe while he helps them get out in front, they just rely on other weapons or the run game to kind of ice things out. So,
all right, well,
all right, tell me about your smash start sit.
Jeff hates CeeDee Lamb. Hates him, doesn't want him, trading him off all his teams. It's lock it down. You heard it on the pod.
You saying I hate CeeDee?
Yeah, you put him in your sit, so I can only.
Okay. I actually don't have him on any other redraft teams, but he is in play for SmashUp. But these three, he's my sit. All right, why don't you tell us about your smash start sit?
Yeah, so I'm smashing CeeDee, as I said, and I think it's funny because last week we were having this conversation about Cooper and Watson, how it was like their last chance to prove that Watson wasn't completely washed and that it wasn't just bad volume Cooper was going to get all season. And they came out and Cooper had 86 yards and 2 touchdowns against this kind of bad Giants pass defense. And so I think CeeDee gets it going against this pass D. There is the risk you mentioned of game script, but Dallas doesn't have a running game, right? Like, unless they just get 4 defensive touchdowns, if they take a 28-3 lead, CeeDee almost has to be a big part of those 28 points. Like, I don't know. Do you think that there's any risk that Zeke uses his rascal to like roll for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns?
Probably not.
So, no, I think CeeDee gets it going. I think this is where he has a big game. Obviously, Dak seemed to come alive at the end of last week. So I think that carries over. And because I want to also then put Speed Demon as my smash card on CeeDee, I think he has a big play. I think he catches a big bomb. Because of the game script, I don't quite want to go tunnel vision or catching fire. But I could definitely see CeeDee catching like a 70-yard touchdown or 60-yard touchdown, getting something big.
Can I just a quick note on CeeDee? I mean, last week the Cowboys were in comeback mode and they threw a ton back through 51 times last game, and CeeDee still only went for 4 catches and 67 yards, 0 touchdowns. So there's just some risk there. That's what I'm saying.
Given their history, though, I think that's like the exception to the rule. Like
for sure. We definitely want him to. We want them to start clicking, but that was my only concern. But definitely not a bad play either. So Holy Trinity.
Yeah, Jefferson, not a lot to add, right? Totally agree with you. I think the 81 and a touchdown is his floor. I mean, he caught a longer single pass against the Niners.
Right, exactly.
But I agree, it's a tough matchup. He's just a start. Chase, the funny thing is you kind of described exactly like why I was cool on him. I think that he's just a very streaky player. Obviously, I'm glad he had a get-right game against what is just a terrible Commanders defense that
worst in the league.
Not only allowing the most points in the league to receivers, but by a long shot. They're giving up 52 fantasy points a week to wide receivers. The second worst team is only giving up 44. Like, they are just far and away. Like, they're making even just okay receivers look elite. Obviously, Chase is very good. So Carolina looked a little bit better last week. Now, maybe it was a 1-week thing. Maybe Chase has a huge game. Just feel like there's a little bit more risk there. And we've seen this before with him where he has 1 week where he gives you 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he comes back the next week and gives you like 30 yards. Not just like a Justin Jefferson 80 and a touchdown, but like 30. It's happened too many times. Look, still not a bad gamble, right? If you're in a weekly tournament, you want high variance, you want to take a shot, go for it. But I think of the 3, he's the one I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, go big or go home, right? So we'll have to see. I mean, any of these 3 could be a smash play. Any of these 3 could be a start. I don't think you're sitting any of these guys if they're in your redrafts. I actually don't think any of these guys are a bad play for SmashUp either. So I'm really tough to pick through the 3.
Right,
but
we'll
see.
They're all at the same budget, right? So you can't always have a bunch of high.
No, not at all.
You have to make a choice. If you're looking, you don't want CeeDee, don't want Jamar. You've heard 2 different perspectives.
Well, you could spend all your money on 3 wideouts. You stick one in your flex and you go West Coast offense, and you get multipliers on all of your tight ends and your wide receivers. So that could be a play.
Or you could just say, Hawk is right, Chef is wrong, or more likely, Chef is right, Hawk is wrong, and just go for one of those views. I would probably go with Chef, but teach the
60% of the time, I'm right 100% of the time. Is that how it goes?
60% of the time, I'm right 0% of the time. So it works out.
Okay, well, that works well. All right, so Smash starts it. We'll see how that plays out for the holy trinity of wide receivers. And then our last grouping is the tight end group. I mean,
loose ends. I'm still calling them loose ends.
It's the loose ends. It's been tough. It's been tough. It's been a tough year and season so far for tight ends. But these are tight ends that we're going to compare in a second here that broke out last week. And we want to see who can save us from tight end hell right now. Which one of these can actually add value to our teams and our lineups and maybe build upon the big weeks they had last week. So first we have Dallas Goedert versus the Buccaneers. He had a huge game last week, 170 yards, 10 catches. Cole Kmet versus the Rams. Again, double-digit catches. He had 10, 97 yards and a touchdown. Huge game. And then Jake Ferguson, first game back from injury, came back a lot sooner than expected, which is great for the tight end position. Versus the Giants, he had 11 targets, 6 catches, 95 yards. So maybe these 3 guys are helping to elevate the tight end position from the doldrums of fantasy hell. But let's start off with you, Hawk. Smash, start, sit between Goddard, Kmet, and Ferguson.
Well, I mean, first off, I don't want to make you jealous, Ming, but I'm gonna smash Ferguson.
Hell no, that's my boy. No, I love it. Ferguson is my boy, so I'm glad to hear that you're on board.
Starting Kmet, and I'm gonna. It's a tough one. I'm gonna pass on Goddard.
Okay, you know me. I'm a Ferguson guy. Glad he's back in mostly all my lineups. I'm smashing Ferguson. I'm gonna start Goddard, so we actually disagree a little bit there, and then I'm gonna sit Kmet. So Ferguson, Goddard, Kmet. Why don't you break down your smash, start, sit decisions?
Yeah. So again, I'm smashing Fergie here, and I think that one, he's just the best and most consistent tight end of the bunch. If you look just historically. And I guess it's not a super long history, but just going back to the end of last year, he's the one I trust the most. Again, I think that Dallas is going to have a good game against the Giants. They're going to put up a lot of points. And while Tolbert got a little bit of volume, they just, again, still don't have a running game. So I feel volume will be there. Although for my smash card, I am just going human vulture. Not sure necessarily how many yards will be there. I feel almost better about the touchdowns. Don't want to spend a bunch of my smash card budget on a tight end. So it's going to spend $1,000 of my smash card budget on human vulture to multiply his touchdowns. Actually, you picked the same. So maybe before I get to the other two, maybe tell me why you like Fergie, if you're going to do the same smash card or a different one.
Yeah, I mean, the only things I'd add is with just one full game played on the season through 3 total games, he's already tight end 13. So that tells you how bad the tight end position has been. But yeah, he's also a huge red zone threat. And to the earlier point of why you really like CD Lamb for the Cowboys, there's just not a lot of options out there in the big D. So I fully expect him to catch a touchdown this weekend. I think he'll be a big part of the passing game. I love human vulture because I think he will catch a touchdown this weekend from Dak. So love all your plays there.
So we agree he's Fergalicious.
We agree that we like Ferguson this week.
Then I'm going to start Cole Kmet. Look, the Rams are the worst defense against tight ends. They gave up 41 yards to, gosh, I hope I even pronounced this right, Eric Saubert from my 49ers. Who is not even a pass-catching tight end. He's more of a blocking tight end. So I think Kmet should get opportunities as a potential shootout here. Obviously, Caleb Williams discovered him last week. Now, I think Caleb Williams threw like 53 passes. Not a guarantee to happen again, but Kmet got double-digit targets. The volume will be there. The Rams are not stopping anything or anyone. All these are kind of ugly picks here, but I'm going to go for Kmet. And then let me just go through the pass on Goddard here because I know you're going to disagree. Just very streaky. The very streaky player in general. The Bucs are the 4th best day against tight ends. I guess their linebackers are not covering running backs, but they're covering tight ends. Obviously, a small sample there. I think you'll get some catches, especially now if Smith is ruled out. They're not going to have the weapons, so maybe I should be changing my view here. But I just don't see him repeating last week. He is very streaky, and I just don't know that he's the best option against this Bucs defense.
All right. Yeah, I mean, look, the tight ends are tough here, right? So I think we agree on Ferguson, but I'm actually starting Goddard, like I mentioned, and he's the only option left in Philly. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are both out. We saw what happened last week in the second half. He was the main target for Jalen Hurts. So if you just extrapolate that over a full game, I expect him to eat up double-digit targets. And for the tight end position, that is all that you can ask for, especially this season. So if you're giving that type of volume, I don't expect him to get under 170 yards. He had a big catch at the end of last game due to a broken defensive scheme, and he rumbled for like 40 or 50 yards. But I wouldn't be surprised if he hits close to 100 yards. And for a tight end, I mean, that's money in the bank. So he's not my smash, obviously. He's my start. But a lot of that's because there's not many weapons left in Philly. And then
extrapolating is dangerous, though, right? If we extrapolate over your life, you would, by the end, have like 4 wives. You'd be like in a big love situation. I don't know that Marilyn would appreciate that.
Yeah, 4 wives, and 2 of them would be upset.
But 2 will be okay with it? Is it the first 2,
exactly,
the last 4?
Hey, in baseball, I'd be a Hall of Famer, batting 500. But anyway, I would sit Cole Kmet. I don't know, man. Like that Chicago offense and Caleb Williams, I just do not trust right now. Keenan Allen may or may not play, but even so, they've still got Rome and DJ Moore. I just feel like this is a rug pull situation. I feel like Cole Kmet is going to do a Hunter Henry on folks. And so I can see people in SmashUp playing Cole Kmet this weekend based on last weekend. But the Rams, I mean, they beat the Niners, which is really impressive, but they really pulled out all the stops. I think that's another week for defenses to prepare for just the limited weapons that the Rams have. The Bears are a 3-point favorite going to this game. So it's not like the Rams are going to boat race Chicago and Chicago has to throw, or Caleb Williams has to throw 50 times again. So they may be having a lead if Vegas is projecting this properly, and they may rely on the run game or shorter pass game or control the clock a bit more. So even then, game scripts may not.
They absolutely could rely on those 2 yards per carry from Swift. It's a real possibility.
I mean, for better or for worse, that's what they've been doing, and it has not been working out. But that's another conversation regarding Swift. So, I'm sitting Kmet in that regard.
Makes sense. It's a coin flip there. You want to go for Goddard over Kmet? I'm not going to argue with anybody, so it makes total sense. It's kind of like which Pui option are you pulling out, and which one's going to pull they might all pull a Hunter Henry on you, which is an interesting expression. I'm like, I didn't realize Henry had hurt you so badly. I'm like, show me on the doll where Hunter Henry touched you.
Well, not me. I think it became a term online because he had done that to so many people. I have not played Hunter Henry. I think I tried to pick him up in a league on waivers.
Where on the doll did Hunter Henry hurt you?
There, right there. Right. All right. So that wraps up our Smash Start Sit episode. As always, see if we got the correct picks or laugh at us if we mess them all up. Typically, we'll get maybe some of them right, probably a lot of them wrong. But I think from what you've mentioned, Hawk, and what I broke down based on some of the data insights, these are some potentially good plays for the week. And so hopefully you guys will utilize them as you fill out your SmashUp lineups. Don't forget to enter into the weekly public tournament. That's kicking off already. Lineups are open. You can set those. It's a Thursday night. We got the first game kicking off tonight with the Cowboys and the Giants. We'll see if CeeDee Lamb can erupt. We'll see what Malik Neighbors does. Going to be exciting either way to watch those wide receivers go at it. And then, of course, set your league lineups. League plays going on. That's been really fun and amazing. But that wraps it up for this episode of Smash Start Sit. Hawk, why don't you let everyone know how they can continue to follow and listen along?
Yeah, go subscribe on whatever software you're using to listen to this podcast. Make sure you catch them all. Then go to smashupsports.com and register. Free weekly tournaments, leagues, and single-player campaign coming very soon. Then go to all the different social media. It could be TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I think, do we have an Angel Fire page? Maybe even there. It's at SmashUp Sports. And join us to catch all the latest tips and hear some more wisdom from the chef. And other than that, sir, I think we are out.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we will see you next time.
Don't let Hunter Henry hurt you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.